to the Drogheda. But then a police car, we managed to pull into a petrol station, and then a police car came in behind us and said, "We've been following you. You know what's wrong?" And I explained. I says we couldn't just abandon. No mobile phones or anything back there. I think somebody had slammed the door in my face when I went to knock. You know, to ask if I could phone the AA or something. Because by this stage, then it's like 11 o'clock at night. The rain's starting to come down, and the police said, "Look, listen, you know, we're going for food, so we can't write this up or whatever. But is there anything we can do? Where are you staying tonight?" And I said, "We're supposed to be staying in a hotel in Dublin." And the guy says, "Well, you're not getting there tonight. Like let's face it." He says, "So we got into the police car, Margaret and I, and the very kind Garda person took us around to like a bed and breakfast, you know, guest house type thing. And the rain was coming down, and the cops were behind us, and the door opened, and we were like drenched with a wee bag sort of thing, and this couple were at the door, you know, and the cops just went, "Could you take care of these two? You know, they've been stranded out there, but they need a place to stay for the night." And then they walked off, and the couple in the doorway, you know, just looked at me and Margaret and went, "It's like Mary and Joseph," and brought us in, and give us a room for the night, and the next morning, I mean, that was just marvellous. There wasn't much to say. I mean, it was like room, and I think we had a wee sort of quarter bottle of whiskey or something like that there, and we had a wee nightcap, went to sleep, got up the next morning, brought the destroyed wheel. I jacked that up in the petrol station because I was able to walk to it next day. Brought that to a tire depot that wasn't too far away, got a new tire on, wheel on, and drove to Dublin. But we couldn't go to the hotel that we were booked into because they were going to charge us 2 nights, but we hadn't been there on the first night. So we drove on down towards Ballsbridge or Blackrock or whatever, and we stayed in a hotel there, and it was great. And we just really had the time of our lives. And then we drove back up home again on the Sunday. This was after me breaking my hand, by the way, because I saw this thing one time where, and you know, there are people out there who are Elvis Presley fanatics, and I know that Fee's one of them, and so maybe remember this movie, where he's in this sort of situation where he's sort of really, really angry, and he turns around and he punches a door, and his fist just goes right through it. So Margaret and I were in this hotel this was on the Saturday night, and we had a good night and everything was great, but we were tired obviously with everything, and there was this like party going on, you know, across the and this place had cost me back then like 120, you know, punts or whatever. So I went over and knocked the door, you know, and said, "Look, can you keep it down?" Because me and my you know. And they said, yeah, no problem, mate, no problem. Closed the door, and basically everything was just exactly the same. So I turned around and punched the door, expecting my fist to go through it, but it was like fucking mahogany or something. So I punched the door and went, ah, and like just shatter, you know, all the way up my arm, you know, and went into Margaret and went, I don't think that you know, I wasn't able to break up the party, but I was able to break up my knuckles. Oh man, I was sore. And next day, you know, we drove up, and that was the weekend. Next day I was in agony, but we still went to a couple of nice restaurants in Dublin, and we went along and went to the cinema and saw, which had just been released, so it gives you the year exactly to, you know, when it was in the cinema. That year was Eddie Murphy in Trading Places, and so it was, and it was either just before or just after Christmas. I can't remember, but that was when it was, and I came up and I had a broken hand and I couldn't go to work and everything was. And Margaret was saying to me, "What do you think about it?" And I went, "It was the greatest time of my life." I mean, just everything that happened. That was just like over a 3 day period, and 2 weeks later, Margaret came to me and she said, "Do you remember that the couple opened up the door to us and the rain was coming down and with nowhere to go, and the woman said it's just like Mary and Joseph." And I said, "Yeah." She says, "Well, we're going to have maybe, oh, not no guaranteeing that it's going to be a Jesus. It could be a Jesusa or whatever the female version of it is. But I'm I'm expecting a baby, and that that was just after, it was just after all that, So that night, you know, Lindsay was brought into the world, sort of thing. That was obviously before I had broken my hand. Although I think maybe my hand being broken hadn't affected anything anyway. But so not only did I have the recollection in my heart of a truly lovely time, but I also have the knowledge that the whole experience resulted in my wee daughter, being with us. So she's the she's the result of chaos, but I think she would know that herself, and probably would be saying, well, that accounts for one or two things. But contrary to popular belief, if you're conceived in the south of Ireland, it still doesn't make you she's still very much a Northern Irish born and bred little daughter. Here's to you, Lindsay, love. So I'm going to conclude that tonight's little thing with that. I had other things to say because all that came from the license, which I'm was developing into something else, but I got waylaid as usual. Um, but I hope you enjoyed, my company and listening to this story and getting another little insight into, you know, there's me talking for like nearly an hour about just one or two incidents, and I've got thousands of them. So from me and Messi here and Robbie Barry, I've got news tomorrow on the Monsters of Man front, as well as the band that me and Robbie are putting together as a two piece for after Christmas. And if this doesn't attract you all to come along to our gigs, then I'm going to definitely unfriend you, and you're not going to be able to see any more of these. Okay. So good night, everyone. Enjoy the start of a glorious week, and I'll speak to you all again tomorrow night. Okay. Night night. I love you all. Did you see that?